Hi, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the November 11th, 2022 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. We're going to look today at a passage that may be familiar to you. It comes from 2 Samuel chapter 7. It's when David got the idea that he wanted to build a temple for the Lord, and perhaps the surprising thing that happened. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7 for the story. Now King David was living in his palace, and the Lord had given him peace from all the enemies around him. And then David said to Nathan the prophet, "Look, I'm living in a palace made of cedar wood, but the ark of God is in a tent." And Nathan said to the king, "Go and do what you really want to do, because the Lord is with you." But that night the Lord spoke his word to Nathan. "Go and tell my servant David, this is what the Lord says. Will you build a house for me to live in? From the time I brought the Israelites out of Egypt until now, I have not lived in a house. I have been moving around all the time with a tent as my home. As I have moved with the Israelites, I have never said to the tribes whom I commanded to take care of my people Israel, 'Why haven't you built me a house of cedar?' You must tell my servant David, this is what the Lord All-Powerful says. I took you from the pasture and from tending the sheep and made you leader of my people, Israel. I have been with you everywhere you have gone and have defeated your enemies for you. I will make you as famous as any of the great people of the earth. Also, I will choose a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them so that they can live in their own homes. They will not be bothered any more. Wicked people will no longer bother them as they have in the past. When I choose judges for my people Israel, but I will give you peace from all your enemies. I will also tell you that I will make your descendants kings of Israel after you. And when you die and join your ancestors, I will make one of your sons the next king, and I will set up his kingdom. And he will build a house for me, and I will let his kingdom rule always. I will be his father, and he will be my son." And then it goes on and on. Now, let's just stop a second. What is the point of this? There are many lessons from this beautiful passage, but one is this. Good people can run ahead of God. Good people, people who are like David, someone after God's own heart, and sincere people of God, such as Nathan the prophet, can make assumptions. I teach all the time that assuming makes a you-know-what out of you and me. This is true in human relationships, and it is true in our relationship with the Lord as well. We are tempted always with what I call the curse of me, thinking that other people and even God is like us, thinks like us, is motivated like us, wants the same things that we do. And that is not always the case. And in this situation, David, meaning well, made an assumption about the Lord. He also is following a pattern that the pagan kings around him were also doing at the time. The idea was that you built a house, a temple for a god in the hopes of pleasing the god. And then the god would help you out. It was a tit for tat kind of thing. And in this case, God brought David up short and said, "You don't need to be doing that. I have already done good for you, and I intend to do even more. You can't outgive me, and you can't bribe me. And also, even if that's not what you actually were intending, David, you came up with an idea that sounded good, even sounded good to the prophet of God. But the problem was you didn't seek me first." You see, we come up with a lot of great ideas, great in our own minds, the curse of me. But God is different from us, and he has his own plans. Even if you think, man, this is a great idea, God surely got to be happy with this. Surely God is going to bless this. Surely this is in God's will. You can be wrong. You can be sincere. You can be enthusiastic. You can be a man or a woman after God's own heart. but you'll fall prey to that temptation to leap before you ask God. And even a person of God, even someone who has been given the permission and the mission and the ministry to speak on behalf of God, even the faithful Nathan can run away with this. This is very arresting to me, and it's also something that I think many of us need to remember. There is a reason why the scriptures say, "Be still and know that I am God." There is a reason why a shepherd always walks slightly ahead of the sheep in general, and always right next to them, right near them, because we as sheep, we don't know the right way to go. There is a way that appears right to a man, but it is God that must direct his steps. Be sure God is directing your steps, even if you're well-meaning. Do not run ahead of God before you make your plans and before you put those plans into force. Be sure that you have asked the Lord and wait for him to give you an answer. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, hoping that you're always listening to God before you're leaping. Join me on the next edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great day. Bye-bye.